So a while ago, I did a top 10 games done shitty, which was true at the time. I wanted to at least put an effort in, and also update my list, because let's be real, opinions change all the time, and I felt like I needed to update it because it was a bit biased. It was more nostalgic with the list instead of what I actually spend most of my time on and how often I play them and whatnot. And so this list is more accurate if I had to think about it. And so, yeah, hopefully you enjoy it, and we'll just go straight right down to it. Alright, first off is Warframe. It is a really good game to lose time with. Like, it's a grindy game. I have had 6 different accounts throughout playing it. I first started on the Switch and grinded out pretty much all of that, and then went on to like Xbox, PlayStation, and actually it's like two Xboxes and 2 PlayStation accounts, and now I have a PC account, which they have a cross-save homer, so I have all my stuff. But I digress. It's a really fun game. It's basically, if you want to waste time, like a day or 2 or 5 of just grinding, this is the game. There's so much to do in it, like grinding for frames, for weapons, trying to get all the planet nodes so you can start mining from there. They have it where you can make your own ship. They got mechs. It's just, there's so much to do in that game, and there is a story. I mean, the story is kind of secondary. I mean, it's decent, it's good, but where it really comes down to it is when you start the game, you kind of have the freedom to choose where you want to go, and that's where the game, I think, strives best, is with the freedom and the mechanics of moving and fighting, and just in-depth mods that you can equip to your weapons, and there's just so much to do around it. But yeah, it's a very contender for being in the top 10, because it's one I always go back to, and it's really enjoyable. There's just so much. Like, you have multiplayer stuff that you can do, and there's a lot of solo stuff that you can do with friends. There is so many frames to choose from. Overall, it's a really good game. They did so well. It's been like, it's been around since like Xbox One. Overall, it's a good game. Like I said, there's not really much to it. You're just grinding and getting stuff. Yeah. So it's pretty much what it is. Alright, so our next up is Dead by Daylight, or DBD. This game is like another game on the list. It is a really fun game, but the player base can suck at times. It's a very simple game. It's like 4 survivors versus a killer, and the survivors don't really have all the really greatest perks, but the killer is like OP. So like on paper, it just sounds like it'd be a very frustrating time, which it can be. There are some times where the killer, when like killers first come out, they're overpowered, and it just kind of makes the game not enjoyable. But for overall, it is fun. I played more of Survivor than I have Killer, because 1, it's faster to go in as Survivor, and 2, Killer can be boring at times. Like, I've had a few matches where I went Killer, and they just gen rush, and all the gens are gone. That can be fun. It is frustrating sometimes. You have survivors teabagging, flashing flashlights, which is kind of the toxicness of the game. But where it strives the most is when you're playing with friends and you feel like you have more stakes, like when you have a friend get hooked. It's just like, I need to go save them, or I need to go talk to killers, and someone else can go and save them. Like I said, the game is very simple. You're just fixing gens and while doing them, it's just like, there's quick time events. Again, not very like too much in it. Like, there are some other aspects, like small little changes, but where the game goes really good with friends, because do some really dumb stuff. You save them or they save you. It's just satisfying. You and your friends just making out. Don't get me wrong, Killer is fun too. It's just not as fun. So, it's a game that I always go back to. It's another game that I wouldn't suggest to people. It's like, hey, you should play DVD because, again, there's a lot you have to do. The community is either really good or just straight up toxic. Yeah, it is one of the games that I always come back to. It's generally whenever a new killer or a new survivor comes out. So that's DVD. Okay, so yeah, Tomb Raider's the 8th on the list. This is one that really shot up on my list of games. I remember playing as a kid and really hating it, just the not understanding and the platforming. And, like, overall, it was just not a game that I could play as a kid. Like, I played a little bit of it, mostly being in the house, but last year I recently completed it, and it was really fun. Like, I didn't realize how well the tank control platforming actually is pretty fluent. And when I first loaded up and played, the game is actually really nice looking. I was using like an HD, texture pack, but it aged pretty decently. Like, it looks grand. Like, one of the first areas you get going, and eventually you come to this hallway, and there's spikes shooting, and there's at the other end there's a big door, so you have to figure out how to open it and do a bunch of platforms. And it's just set pieces like those are really nice. Or there's going in the jungle, and there's a big T-Rex trying to get you out of nowhere, and you're just like, oh no. It's more grand scheme. I'm recently playing through Anniversary, which is the remake. And as I'm going through it, everything feels smaller compared to the original. Because I'm like, wow, this place used to be so big, and now it just feels tiny. And it just goes to show that a game that was made for PS1, it just felt more grander than a 360 game that, which is somewhat different. Realistically, the combat is not really that good. It's very standard. You just auto aim, shoot. You do have different guns. You have Uzis and shotgun, magnums. But that's pretty much it. There's health packs. But the main thing for this game is just exploration. When you go out and you find a secret in places, a little theme, and it makes you go, oh yes, I did that. Just the small things makes it really nice. And like I said, it's one game that I would last year or the year before that I would nah, that game is not as good. But now going through it and replaying it over and over, it is probably the best Tomb Raider. I mean, I still haven't played 3, so I can't really decide that much. But yeah, out of just all the Tomb Raider games, I know the 3 new ones, the 3 remakes or whatever. That was on Xbox One and PS4. Those were really good, but those are good in a different aspect. This is just good as you're isolated and you really feel alone, and it's more skill based, and whatever you do is your own fault as opposed to AI is glitchy, or the shooting is overpowered or stuff like that. But yeah, so that's Tomb Raider. So number 7 is a game that I love and hate. It's called Hunt. Hunt Showdown. The reason that I really love this game is that it is very in-depth. There's so much to it that it's just crazy. It has a simple premise. It's go get clues, right? So you have this dark sight, and you can see the clues, and then you get them. And then you go to get all the clues. And once you get all the clues, you then find the boss. And sometimes it's a one boss map, sometimes it's a two boss map. But yeah, so you find the boss, and you can either fight it or not. And then you get the bounty, and then you extract. But the game, the reason I don't like it is because the learning curve is very hard. Like, they don't really teach you anything. They do have like a single player tutorial kind of stuff, but it's not really tutorial, it's more like challenges. But yeah, they don't really show you much. But the great thing is while playing you learn, because it's PvP VE, so you're playing against the environment and the people who are there. And so the great thing about it is that you could be doing this, right? You can be getting the clues, and next thing you know, you're getting shot at. And then you're trying to go hide, and then the mobs out there, they come towards you, which shows the other player, like, oh, hey, they're over there. So, like, there's a lot of depth to it. And the weather effects in the game are really great. The sound alone is really good. So, like, if you're, like, sneaking, right, and you're going to, like, a bush area to hide, or to get up on somebody, and you stepped on a twig, it makes a crunch, and that crunch just kind of echoes a little bit, and it's like stuff like that, because the other player's like, oh, they're over there. Like, it's so interesting. And then, like, just the mechanics alone, like, if you're going after a boss, you have the choice of, if there's people there fighting, you go, okay, well, we can wait until they kill the boss, and then we can rush them. Or we can wait until they pick up the bounty, and when they pick up the bounty, they get dark sight so they can see where people are for a short period of time. So, like, there's just so much to it, and it never gets old, because every game is different. Again, you go in, there's a swampy area, there's, it's daytime, it's nighttime, it's raining, like, it's different, because one, you don't know how many players are in it, because you could be playing throughout the day. Throughout the day, you could be playing different lobby matches, like, if you're playing around noon, like in the afternoon, it's not going to be really that busy, so, you never know if you have just you and one other person, or it's like you and like 5 other people, and then at night it can be like full lobbies until like 2 a.m. and then it just be dead, and it's just like 1 or 2 people. So it's like, there's a real RNG when it comes to it, and speedrunning is really fun too. I've done a few speedruns of it, and that's probably the most excitement I've had on an online, shooting game, because oh boy, everybody wants to kill you, and you're going in gun blazing. So there's so many weapons, so many characters. There's so much to it. It's really just an interesting game. Like, it looks gorgeous, and the mechanics are really solid. So I'd recommend trying it out, but at least do it with like some friends or somebody who knows the game, because then they can give you tips. So, number 6 is Super Mario 64. I mean, there's not really much to say, because everybody literally talks about this game. Solid platforming, great level designs. It just opened up. Like, you have choice right off the bat. You literally go in, and Bob-omb Battlefield is your first one. So after you get like 1 or 2 stars, you're literally open up to everything in the lobby. And then, once you beat Bowser, you have the downstairs, and then again you beat Bowser again, and you have the upstairs. And there's so much interesting levels that are going on that it's just overall a really solid, pick. It's like probably one of the best Mario games. Like, there's a few that come close. A lot of people like Odyssey. I mean, I wasn't really a big fan of Odyssey, because there was way too many moons. The levels were a little too big for my taste. I mean, the platforming controls by themselves were really great. It's just everything was bigger than I would want it. But Super Mario Sunshine was another one that was kind of like it, but it wasn't as free when it comes to like openness. But Galaxy, I has the one that I haven't really like gone into, but I played a bit of it, and it's, again, like like I said, it's the freedom is not really there. So this is one of those games that's being tested through time and it's still being played. I mean, it's the speedrunning alone is a really big community, and then you have people who are just trying to beat the game as fast. And there's just so much to do to it. All the levels are very great design, except for maybe like two or three levels. And then yeah, it's just what else is there really to say about Super Mario 64 that nobody really else has said. It's just overall a great choice. Alright, so number fifth one is Sekiro. You either love this game or you really hate it. I don't think I've ever met somebody in between that goes, oh, it's just all right. And I'm only on it. I really hate this game. The game is too hard. Well, I really love the game. It's something I really wanted from Software. I wanted a Dark Souls game that's more action-packed based, like the combat's more fluid. This actually gets the edge. So, I really like how it's like a rhythm game. You're learning like, the rhythm of the NPCs who are fighting, or the bosses, and different things to do. The set pieces are really nice for a lot of stuff. The world feels really big. The music in it, which is there is good times, it's really good. Like, just the sound design, the story is actually really decent. And it's just overall really good from Software game. It's probably the best one I like out of all the Software from Software games, because it's very tricky because each From Software game is like its own game. Like the Dark Souls, each one of those are its very own like type of game, even though some of it has the same, core mechanics. There is nothing really like Sekiro. But the closest I can compare this to is Ghost of Tsushima, and even then, that's more like Assassin's Creed kind of style. But as like story-wise, I mean, how open it is. So, yeah, not really much else. Now we're getting down to the top four. GoldenEye is the fourth spot. It is one of my favorite old school FPSs. I remember wasting so much time with friends just playing, multiplayer, slackers only, or stuff like that. Even now, I go back to it from time to time, and I do speed runs of it, like, how fast can I beat the level? And, every once in a while, I go back and I do like a full play of all the levels, and it's always fun. I never have a bad time with it. Like I'm always in a good mood. I mean, the music is great. The gameplay is simple, and the objectives in the games most of them are optional unless you're doing harder difficulties. And overall, it's a great game that we probably never will get anything close to it again. It's very unique. I mean, there's other Bond games, but they're not like GoldenEye. They're like their own thing. And it's one that I wasted so much time on, and I still go back and play. Like it's really good. My only complaint is like we never really get like a true remastered of it. Like same game but just better graphics. That might make it better. Like I remember Xbox had like kind of a remastered, but they never released it. So. Yeah, it's one of those games that is still being played today, and if you can get past the janky controller, I mean it's great. I mean it's on Xbox now, so you don't really need to play like on the N64. Like the Xbox controller works really great with it. They have the modern update controller schemes. So yeah, overall it's probably one of my favorite SPS games. So. So earlier I said that the one of the games on the list is a really good game, but the player base is bad. This is probably one of the worst player-based communities, but also the best player-based community at the same time. It's League of Legends. Yeah, it's a simple game with so many mechanics. It is probably, if I had to guess, I'd put in way too many hours. I think we're probably. I have at least 6 straight years of playing it off and on. Like I'll have binges of like months of playing this. It is one I would never want someone to know like, hey, you want to play this game with me? No, it would be the hey, I'm thinking about playing League of Legends. What do you think? And then I well, don't play it. But if you really want to play it, play with friends. Play with somebody who knows. It is a good game. Like the when you're looking at the game, it's very simple. There's 3 lanes. There's towers, inhibs, and then nexus, and then you gotta farm minions, beat your laner, and then you continue. But then it gets into the real depth of, okay, what role am I playing? Am I playing jungle, mid, ADC, support, top? If I'm playing jungle, where do I start? Like, who do I play? There's so many champs in the game. I think it's like 150, 160 champs. It could be less, could be more. I can't remember. Like they keep making a new champ every like 3 weeks. But enough said. The map itself hasn't changed really that much. I think this season that just came out, they did the most to it. Other than that, it's been like the same map with like slight variations to it. I think this season is very more ambitious. So, but it's a really great game. The only thing that makes it not so great is the players. You could be having fun playing with your friend. You have a random on your team and he just instantly gets tilted and starts being toxic in all chat. And the enemy team is toxic. It goes into a bad time because you have like 2 scenarios. You can be like, hey, just play the game, and that never really works. Or B, you can, join in, which never works either. Or, there's the other option of, okay, well, maybe if we try to, cheer up this rando, maybe they'll get their head back in the game. It's depending on which situation, what's going on. And when you have a good game, like everyone's doing their stuff, that's when the league is the best. It's because you're going in and you're like, I'm getting this tower. All right, let's go get a drink. Okay, let's make sure nobody's coming while we're getting drink. There's so much to it. And all the champions, they're unique on their own. There's a few that kind of feel the same, but there's a lore reason why. The game alone just has so much lore. I mean, they have lore for skins, they have lore for the base characters. They're just always adding lore. But this is probably one of the most longest games I've ever come back to. It's always come back to it. There's a joke of once you play League, you're never done. You can quit for like a year, 2 years. You're coming back. So, but yeah, League takes the 3rd spot. So 2nd spot is RE2 and RE2 Remake. I kind of lumped them together because they're basically the same game but with other stuff. Same story for the most part. Same kind of mechanics of shooting zombies and fighting bosses, but slight variations in graphical difference. If I had to choose, I'd lean more to RE2 original because I grew up with it, and it's always something I've played. I speedrun it now from time to time. I think I have like an hour and a half of just running through it. But it is a game that I always go back to because there's endless content to it. You can do randomizers, which really make the game last longer. There's like going through knife runs. Remake has a bunch of side content that you can play. So it is RE2 original, but not as much. Just overall, they're like solid, just third-person horror games that you're just shooting stuff, and it's very hard to find a game similar to it. Like there are games out there, but they're either not as good or they're kind of just straight up copies, clones of them. But yeah, like again, it's an old game slash not old game, and there's not really much to say about it. I mean, the story's cheesy. I like the cheesy story. The stakes are set high. Like, overall, the tank controls. Well, RE2 has tank controls. RE2 Remake doesn't, but other than that, they're all kind of like the same game. So, I was gonna put RE4, but I always go back to 2 more. So, yeah, that's just more what I like out of it. So. Alright, for the number 1 spot, it's Link's Cross Country. That is the best game ever. Hands down. When they made the Wii, when they made that game, it was Game of the Year. Like, it's so good. It's a rail shooter that uses Wii remote shooting stuff. And then you go in and there's a boss. They use the Twilight Princess boss, I can't remember, the Momi guy. They use him as a boss. When I first played that, I expected a boss because it's just a simple game. It's a rail shooter and you just have a crossbow. But yeah, no, it's like one of the best games out there. It's the best game ever. On a real serious note, it's going to be Mystical Ninja. Mystical Ninja starring Goemon. It is one that is made by Konami, not very well known. It's kind of like a Zelda game mixed in with platforming. Not a lot of people know about it. Like, it's starting to get popularity, but not like like Zelda or Mario or whatnot. It is a game where you go around and whack people with a pipe, and that's pretty much the premise. Is you're going to save, Japan. And yeah, that's pretty much it. You have 3 companions. Well, one's a ninja, the other is like a police kind of thing, and then you have a robot that throws kunai. It's great. It's weird. The story makes no sense. It's about aliens that come and want to do a performance stage thing, and like they want to transform Japan into a big performance area, and so you're going through and stopping them. There is a robot fight, and each boss after you beat him, there's a robot fight. Or your first introduction of the robot is when you go to see Old Wise Man. They have like an anime-esque opening of you going into your mech, and like it's just weird. Like, I don't know, there's something about it. It's just a weird game that you don't really see. The music is really great, and the platforming is, for the most part, pretty solid. There are some times where I go, well, that's just unfair. That's just bad game mechanics. But for overall, like, it is one of the most uniquest games I've ever seen. They had a sequel, which is a little bit different. It's more like their old roots, where it's a side-scrollingness. But like this and the PS2 game are like the only ones that are the open world. Kind of just go out and do stuff, where all the others are just streamlined levels. And I always come back to this. I think once a year I either stream it or I play it on my own, but I go through the whole game and I 100% it. Like, it is one of those games that I actively play either once or twice a year all the way through. I don't think I've ever played the game and just stopped and goes, yeah, I don't want to play this. Like, once I play it, I play it all. It's so good. I would highly recommend it. It's very hard to find it on like N64 because one, the game is, if you buy American, the game is like $50-60, and then if you're buying it in Japanese, it's like $10-15. But again, if you buy the Japanese version, you don't know Japanese, you're missing out on a really weird and funny story. So there's other ways to find it. Just Google is your best friend if you really want to play it. I recommend it. It is really good. And that's my number 1 game of all time. It's the same thing as the last review. Alright, so that will do it. And that was my top 10 games of all time. It's changed a lot since the last one I did 4 years ago. But to be fair, I put more into this. I didn't want I didn't want it to have like, you know, all Mario's and Zelda's and, you know, just everything that's like very typical of most lists, like, oh, Final Fantasy and brr, 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 brr. Like, I want it to be more unique. I want it to be more what I actually play all the time, that I always go back to. And I feel like this is, for the most part, it's pretty accurate to what I pretty much play. I mean, I do play a lot of other stuff, but I generally go back to these 10 games just over and over. And, you know, lists always change. Considering that, you know, I think what, four of these are online games? That, you know, if they ever got shut down or things changed to them that made me not like it, it would change. So I figured, you know, maybe later down the line, if I want to, I can. If it changes, I'll update it, or you know, things like that. But if you enjoy this, I want to do like more of these. Like I want to do like top 10 animes, because I kind of have a biased anime list that is very. You could tell it was very from like, you know, a certain time period, and then I could do like a top 10 Zelda game or Mario games, and, you know, just things like that. You know, like later on. Just, you know, I have some ideas. Yeah, no, I mean, if you enjoyed it, that's really cool. If not, well, you can let me know down in the comments. I do read comments when I do get them. So, yeah. Other than that, you all have a fantastic day, and thanks for watching.